I'm one of the founders of Digital Aerolus, so I was there on creation day. I come from a family where I'm third generation engineer, and one of my sons is a fourth generation engineer, and so it's just what happened. Like a lot of nerdy kids, I started when I was 15 years old. We had moved to Kansas City. I got involved in um, theatrical lighting. So I worked in a local, there was outdoor theater, and they were doing a version of The Wizard of Oz, and part of the job was I got to blow up smoke pots, all for the whole play, so we'd push buttons, and I'm sure everything we did then would be now illegal, but we'd fill it with black powder, and we'd make these little blow up pots, and so when the Wicked Witch came out, and we had lights and sound, and so there was local theater in the park, and that's what got me started. And then one of the guys I met and became close to talked me into going into electrical engineering, and it's like the Dilbert cartoon of, the little boy is discovered to have an engineering tendency as he, fixes the doctor's equipment while he's out of the room, and the doctor diagnoses him. Oh, I'm sorry, I have bad news and good news for you, ma'am. He has the knack. So quickly I learned I had the knack. And I guess my mother knew I had the knack when I was a little boy, as I took apart things and put them back together. So I love taking bikes apart. So I would take 3 or 4 bikes apart and make a, monster bike, a Frankenstein bike. I would, and ultimately I had a little electronic set that I built, stuff with, and I had a chemistry set that I'm sure I probably tried to blow up the house 2 or 3 times with. I mean, those are things that I love. Those are my favorite toys. I grew up around Indianapolis, and I loved the Indianapolis 500. And one day when I was 8 or 9 years old, my mom asked me what I wanted for my birthday or Christmas or something. And I said I wanted a stopwatch, and I would make my own graph paper, and I would keep track of everyone's time in the time trials. We could never afford to go to the real race, but I always loved following the speeds of the race cars. And I remember one of my highlights is an older friend of the family's, took my brother and I to the time trials of the Indianapolis 500. And I would sit there for the whole time trials, and I would time people around. I would calculate their speed before they would announce it. Nerdy engineering personalities, science personalities, we love learning stuff new. It's the art of problem solving. Once a problem is solved, it becomes much more boring. There seems to be a first principle approach to problems. It's not about trying to prove you're smarter. It's about trying to understand the problem first. And I think that's what makes our products here so unusual, is that we never take the conventional solution to problems de facto as the right solution. So we tend to break problems apart and think of them differently. So we use a different form of math for how we solve autonoma and how we solve, in our drone case, stable flight indoors that literally no one in the world is using. That we can tell, and yet so many people so obviously need to go to where we are. And that's where our first principle approach has served us well. It's not that we needed to do it differently than people. We just wanted to do it right, and we wanted to understand the problems first.